Hi Capricorn, this is your astrological prognosis for 2012 from me, Lada, from astrolada.com. And before I start, I'd always recommend you always find out exactly what your ascendant sign is, because everyone just knows their sun sign. And of course, we're talking now about Capricorn. And it means that you're probably born in the end of December or the first 20 days of January. But this is only will show the position of the sun in the zodiac when you were born. But people have three important signs. It's not only the sun sign that matters. The other most important sign is the ascendant and moon sign. And when you go to a professional astrologer, they will make a prediction according to your ascendant and moon signs rather than according to the sun sign. So I would advise you, go to my website astrolada.com and go to the ascendant sign and moon sign calculators and enter the time of your birthplace so you can calculate the exact degree of your ascendant and your moon and the exact sign, and then listen to the sign, the prognosis for the sign. And if you don't have time to listen for the prognosis of the three important signs that are in your horoscope, always start listening at least for the ascendant. And if you hear your day of birth being mentioned, the prognosis will be particularly relevant for you. Or if you hear the exact degree of your moon sign, or the exact degree of your ascendant sign being mentioned, it will be particularly relevant. But otherwise, the whole prognosis will be relevant for, especially for the ascendant signs. Anyway, what happens if you have either your ascendant, moon, or sun in Capricorn? And we always put it in the first part of the zodiac. We always put it at the first house, and we look how the two important planets that shape reality, that shape our fates, are moving in relation to the position of the sign that your sun or ascendant or moon is in, which is Capricorn in this case. You know, and where Jupiter will be passing, it will always bring ease and joy in that area of life. It will bring expansion to some extent, whether it's good or not, depends also to some extent. Sometimes we can overdo some things, and Saturn does just the opposite. Saturn is so-called the body in astrology because wherever it passes, it brings effort, it brings doubt, it brings contraction, it brings more duties and responsibilities. Makes it hard work wherever it passes, but oftentimes this is how we grow this is how we grow, and this is how we mature, and this is how we gain a backbone rather than stay like marshmallows. While Jupiter gives us with these, Jupiter brings understanding in the area it passes. It brings more light, and divine understanding. That's why things happen with ease there. It brings confidence wherever it passes. And since the summer of 2011, Jupiter has been in your 5th house from June 2011, and it will stay there till June 2012. So Jupiter stays in a house relative to the sign we're talking about for approximately a year. And Jupiter has been expanding the areas that 5th house rules. And 5th house is to do its most positive outcome is our creations, the things that we enjoy doing, the things that we like, hobbies, like creativity. So a lot of you maybe became much more creative, especially if your ascendant is Capricorn, and the moon and the sun as well, but your ascendant always has the strongest effect. So your creativity may be expanded, your ability to enjoy life may be also expanded, and ability to have fun. 5th house is also having fun, and 5th house is also the house of having self-confidence, having self-esteem. So maybe your self-esteem also increased, and you'll have another 6 months to work on that, to improve your self-esteem. And often 5th house is also the house of romance, because what helps more our self-esteem than romance, than a flirty, pleasant, romantic experience that we have? So, Jupiter can bring some expansion there. Maybe you attract more people than normal. And I keep repeating again, mostly if your ascendant is in Capricorn, this is when you feel, or the moon as well, because the moon and ascendant have more relationship to interpersonal relationships. Uh, and also fifth house, as I said, it's our creations, and children are our creations. So a lot of you Capricorns probably had wonderful experiences with children, with your children. Maybe some new opportunities came there for your children if you're a bit older, if your children are more grown up. If you're trying to get pregnant, when Jupiter passes through the fifth house of fertility, from the ascendant, especially from the moon in particular, then you start having a desire to expand, to have a child. You also become more fertile. Your body becomes more fertile. So if you're trying to get pregnant and your ascendant and moon is in Capricorn, you have till June 2012 to work on this, And Jupiter is here in the fifth house once in 12 years, So it affects it, it doesn't affect it that often. So it's a great opportunity for any kind of creative projects, and children is one of them, or any kind of other intelligent creative projects. Maybe you don't have to be an artist or a painter to take advantage of Jupiter in the fifth house. You can be, even in your daily affairs, you'll be just more playful, more artistic, more creative. You'll use more intelligence better. You'll feel more inspired. Fifth house is the house of the sun, of the inspiration, of divine inspiration. So you feel more in touch with yourself. You feel more positive, more kind of confidence, of more self-esteem, more playful, more entertaining. Fifth house is house of entertainment as well. And after that, Jupiter will be moving from June 2012 into your sixth house. And the energy changes very dramatically. Especially, I keep saying, for those who have their ascendant in Capricorn, they'll feel it. And also moon and sun, you also feel it, But I've noticed that the ascendant, and this is how professional astrologers do it, counted from the ascendant is the most appropriate one. But if you don't know your time of birth, then you can work with the sun or the moon as well. It will also probably describe the situation to about 1/3, And Jupiter in the sixth house will expand the areas of this house. And sixth house is much more to do with work. Fifth house is to do with creativity, with shining your light, with being expressionable, with being creative, with being fun and joyful. But sixth house is the opposite. It's about becoming an apprentice, getting down to work and improving yourself. So Jupiter will help you deal with those mundane things that we don't like doing, like duties, like responsibilities, like improving our skills, paying attention to details, attending and managing our daily affairs and routines. It will help us do this with more joy, with more awareness. It will be easier for us from the summer of 2012. If you have any kind of detail work that you've been putting off that requires a lot of attention and it's tedious, after that, or especially like administrative work, business, kind of services, if you've been putting it off, then from 2012, from the middle, it will start getting better and better for you, and you'll start enjoying this process. Sixth house is the house of service, often to do with the house of work, but this is not the time when you get big accolades, the career. This is more time from the middle of 2012 till the middle of 2013, when you might be asked to work more behind the scenes, but it can improve your career chances as well. It can be a positive time for your career, definitely, Even though, again, I keep saying you might not gain, a much higher position, but the situation in your work should improve. You should be more enthusiastic about how you do your work. People will be happier with bosses or whatever will be happier with your work as well. Giving services, any kind of service-oriented job will bring you also kind of joy, and will bring you more pleasant experiences than normal. And also it's a great time to improve your routine and regime, because sixth house is the house, again, of those routine things no one likes doing, everyday things that actually keep us alive and keep us healthy, like hygiene, like eating better food, like going to the gym, maybe waking up earlier. I can't wait for Jupiter to go into my sixth house. I need that. And, you'll do this with more joys from the second part of 2012. You'll have a chance to pay attention to that area and to improve it without having to put so much effort into it. It will happen more naturally. And also you'll be more efficient than normally, Sixth house is the house of efficiency, of work, of being able to solve problems. Sixth house is solving problems, solving those annoying things of everyday activities that usually we don't enjoy doing so much, or any kind of obstacles that come our way, you have an increased capacity to solve those from the second part of 2012. And after that, okay, so this is for what Jupiter is doing in 2012. Let's see now what Saturn is doing. And Saturn is a planet that moves much slower. It takes about 2.5 years to pass through one sector of life. And Saturn is the hard task master, which shows that, you know, life has been created in such a way. So the hard things are a bit always more than the fun and pleasurable things. You see, the fun, pleasurable things, the more positive things, they pass much faster in the horoscope. They take 1 year to pass over one sector of the horoscope, while the hard, difficult lessons we have to learn take 2.5 years, because our heads are thick. That's why we need that, you know. If the hard things were passing easy, we wouldn't learn our lesson. And Saturn has been for about almost 2 years now, I guess 1 year and 8 months, in your 10th house, and it's the house of career. And especially if you have your ascendant or sun in Capricorn, you've been feeling it for the past almost 2 years. And what happens is that where Saturn passes, it brings any kind of difficulties, any kind of maybe difficulties with authority figures. 10th house, you see it's at the top, it's the king, so people who are your bosses, authority figures. If you're younger, your parents, maybe there was some difficulties, maybe you had to take more responsibility and care of, do more for your parents, for your father, for your mother. Or if you're older and you work, your bosses gave you much more responsibility and work than you expected. You see, Saturn can give you, it can give you in your career, but always with a lot of effort, with a lot of duties, with a lot of responsibilities. You know, if you're trying to gain a better position in life, you only do it when Saturn is here in your 10th house, and it will be here till October 2012. It will only, Saturn will give you something like career expansion, improvement, or a better position only if you've been working really hard till now, if you haven't been trying to get shortcuts. And if you have been, or if you've been in a career or path in life, or a job that is not really your real path in life, that is making you feel dissatisfied and unhappy, then this period that started a year and more than a year and a half, and it has another 10 months to go through, it's a time where you get really disappointed and doubtful about your career, about your vocation, what you're doing, and you might be having so many stresses at work and difficulties. Work is through so much effort happening, you know, that you actually want to leave a place, you know. So maybe a lot of you who have their ascendant or sun in Capricorn left jobs or changed their direction in life, where they're working, you know. This is 10 houses, reputation, direction, work. Or if you were in the right job, you just had to put a lot more effort than normal to get where you are, you know. But also, I say, Saturn can bring you to the peak of your career as well. It can bring you great rewards if you haven't been taking shortcuts. If you've been working hard for the past 14 years before that in a certain direction, if you've been really diligent, Saturn can actually bring you a lot of success, deserved success. It doesn't give without deserve, you know. So, you know, till around October, career might be a bit still difficult, about sore point in life, but you can still reach high positions. And you see, after that, Jupiter goes into your 6th house, which will improve career, so to speak. 6th house is work, the work we do on a daily basis. Well, 10th house is our respect and name and the career, the vocation. But Jupiter will take the burden away from the second part of 2012, you know. And especially after October, when Saturn moves away from the 10th house, you know, the career energy becomes much easier, and you can expect from then on, especially if your ascendant or sun is in Capricorn, a lot more success and a lot more ease in your career, a lot more, maybe a new opportunity opening up for you, a new job coming up for you, you know. And it will not be so hard as it has been for the past 2 years almost, you know, and as hard as it will be for another 7-8 months of 2012. After that, things are easing up there, you know. But now you have a chance for another 10 months to work hard on your career to focus there. Saturn brings intense focus and desire for success and ambition wherever it's passing, ability to materialize the affairs of that house, albeit with a lot of effort, you know. And who will especially feel the Saturnian energies? You know, those of you who basically have their ascendant or their moon from 21 degrees till 30 degrees in Capricorn. Or those of you who are born from the 13th to the 20th of January. These are the people who will be experiencing Saturn's lesson this year. The others that are born before that, if their ascendant or moon is in the first 20 degrees of Capricorn, not in the last 10, or if they're born before the 13th of January, well, they already passed those lessons. They already had the testing time that Saturn brings, the big teacher, you know. But those of you who I'm just mentioning here that I've written, who are born in those periods, their ascendant or moon is there, or their sun is, it means they're born from the 13th to the 20th of January. Saturn will be testing them till October 2012. And it's not only in career that it can test, but it can, when it's those particular degrees, initially it can bring a lot of doubts and self-criticism and frustrations from the situations, and you'll be required to handle this, to transmute this, you know, instead of getting bogged down in anger, resentment and negativity and despair. You have to overcome this. Saturn wants to bring us a backbone, as I keep saying. It otherwise will be marshmallows. So you have to be very hard and resilient, you know, those of you that I'm mentioning. And but it can also bring you a very focused, concentrated energy and ability to work overtime. Saturn is the planet of duties, of responsibilities, of work. So you can be much more focused and get a lot more work done now, like laying foundations from groundwork, overcoming obstacles, you know, any kind of this. But it's almost like slave work, you know. You have to put so much effort, and because Saturn slows everything it touches, you might not be immediately noticing the results of your efforts that you're putting. It might, you know, actually might only start seeing the results flowing better after Saturn stops, you know, after October 2012, and when Jupiter starts helping from the 6th house here. And sorry. And at the same time, yes, anyway, so this is how Saturn, if you have your moon or ascendant, Saturn, they have much more to do with relationships. So if your moon or ascendant is from 21 to 30 degrees, maybe some of your, in Capricorn, maybe some of your relationship will be tested, your one-to-one personal relationship, maybe cutting off some people that you no longer need in your life. You know, maybe also moon is to do with place of living, relocation. Some of you can be relocating, changing something in their home, repairing, reconstructing, maybe, you know, having more duties and responsibilities to do with the home. But it's also a great time for self-discipline, because Saturn is the great discipliner. So those of you that I'm mentioning those times here, it's a great time to get rid of unwanted habits, of improving yourself, of disciplining yourself, of it's having a bit of a Spartan life, which Capricorn are quite good at doing, but you might have to contract yourself a little bit till, you know, till October, and do the hard work that is required of you. Anyway, I think this is all for the month, for the year 2012. I hope it hasn't been too complex for you. See, astrology is quite a complex science or art, and quite confusing sometimes. But if you have questions, let me know. I will answer them gladly.